Welcome back to Building Character, where we figure out how to play as your favorite fictional characters in Dungeons & Dragons. Join the Patreon for this character sheet and a whole bunch more, and like and subscribe for more inner peace next time you play. Maybe. Today we're building Korra from the Legend of Korra, fulfilling a promise I made in January of 2020, or at least alluded to. I was planning on getting here a little faster, but I knew I would like it, so I put it off and researched a bunch of other stuff that I thought I'd enjoy less, for some reason. I'm not saying I hated everything I've researched, but boy howdy, I really liked Legend of Korra. It's like Avatar, but more. They should have called it Legend of Mora.
I'm the Avatar! You gotta deal with it!
Let's start off with our goals for this build. First, basic Avatar stuff. Earth, air, fire, and the damp one. Gravy? Next, abilities that push you further than the last Avatar, banishment mostly. Turns out sequels escalate things to keep a sense of momentum going, but I know people are already mad cause girl Avatar do things AANG not do. There's nothing I can do at this point. I've been making fun of you losers for over a year now and you still haven't left. Finally, we'll make sure that we can go to the spirit world and hang out with spirits. I know I miss Iroh. For stats, we'll be using the standard point buy from the player's handbook. Roll for stats if you want, just keep your multi-classing minimums in mind. We'll set your strength, constitution, and charisma at 14. You can lift, take a hit, and have a natural aptitude for bending. Dexterity at 12, you're pretty flexible, but you're more of a bruiser than a finesser. Wisdom is lower at 10. Your insight checks are not great, but we'll dump intelligence. How do I put this lightly? You are not smart? Really not smart. How do people call her a Mary Sue? There is an entire arc where she can't do anything because she's too hung up on failing so hard. It's almost like there's another issue they have with her. I can't put my finger on it though. Korra is a human, but she's loaded with the souls of the previous avatars. That's a little weird. We'll go custom lineage for a feat. Like tough, for 2 HP every level we get. We don't actually need a lot of stuff that gets covered in feats, and we do need a lot of other stuff, so we won't be able to invest in constitution as much as I'd like. Bump your charisma with your 2 free points, take medicine for your skill of choice, and the athlete background for athletics and acrobatic skills to be nimble enough to get onto a pro bending team. Kind of depressing that being the living embodiment of a goddess and the bridge between the spirit world and human world still tries to become a soccer player. We're gonna start things off as a sorcerer, specifically a divine soul sorcerer, because you've got a little Rava in you, which is funny. I start my day with a little Java in me. That joke feels sacrilegious, but it's a fake religion, so I don't feel too bad. Speaking of religion, grab that and persuasion for your skills from the sorcerer list. You're favored by the gods, letting you add 2d4 to a failed attack roll or saving throw once per short rest, for when you just gotta get a little more angry and get things done. You also get spells and cantrips, of course, and will that make you a better avatar than a 4 elements monk? Only one way to find out. We're going to start off with Firebolt for a basic fire attack, shooting a ranged spell attack that deals 1d10 fire damage. Gust lets you push a creature that fails a strength saving throw or an object that weighs 10 pounds or less and make a tiny wind-based sensory effect if you want. Shape Water lets you change the direction of water in a 5-foot area, change its appearance or color, or freeze it as long as nothing is alive inside. Don't worry, we'll get some ice later that will actually do the hurty. Mold Earth lets you move 5 feet of earth, change its color, a simple sensory effect. All the bender cantrips are kind of like that. For your first level spells, Catapult lets you bend some rocks at someone, forcing a dexterity saving throw on a creature and dealing 3d8 bludgeoning damage to those that fail. Cure Wounds lets you do some water bending healing, healing 1d8 plus your charisma modifier as an action to a creature you touch. You actually get this for free as a good aligned player, but alignment is boring. Just let your players pick one of the extra spells. Burning Hands lets you force a dexterity saving throw on creatures in a 15-foot cone in front of you, dealing 3d6 fire damage to those that fail, half as much to those that succeed, helping you Mako a little fire. That's a little Mako pun. He's your buddy. Second level sorcerers get a font of magic with sorcery points to recover spell slots or something else later. We'll talk about that in a second. For this level spell, Earth Tremor forces a dexterity saving throw on creatures in a 10-foot radius, dealing a d6 of bludgeoning damage to those that fail and knocking them prone if they fail. The area also becomes difficult terrain after that, so it's a pretty good way to slow down the bad guys while you get away. Third level sorcerers get meta magic, letting you augment your spells with sorcery points. Quicken Spell lets you cast a spell that normally takes an action as a bonus action, helping you use all your bending in the same round. Actually, all the elements in one round is a bit too much, but 2 elements, that's doable. Heightened Spell gives a creature disadvantage on the saving throw against a spell you cast. I'm sticking with offensive stuff because you start off a little bit more offensive. For this level spell, Spiritual Weapon is a pretty solid water whip, creating a weapon that floats around and attacks creatures you choose with a bonus action, dealing 1d8 plus your charisma modifier in force damage. So just pretend it's made of water. There aren't a lot of water spells, and Spiritual Weapon is pretty dang good. I kind of just want to put it on the list. Fourth level sorcerers get an ability score improvement. You can use this for more strength strength to make you better at punching, when we eventually get to punching. Lesser restoration lets you remove an effect of blindness, deafness, paralyzation, or poison from a creature, and that creature can be you if you want to get some metal out of your blood. Bad metal, not the normal iron that's supposed to be in your blood. Leave that in there. We'll bounce over to fighter now to get some fighting, like unarmed fighting. It's a fighting style that will help you fight when you're unarmed. It lets you make unarmed attacks that deal 1d6 plus your strength and bludgeoning damage, or 1d8 if you got 2 free hands. You also deal a d4 of damage per round to someone you've got grappled. Korra likes fighting, so you've got to be fighting. You also get second wind, letting you heal 1d10 plus your fighter level as a bonus action once per short rest. It's a little healing that's just for you, as a treat. Second level fighters get an action surge, letting you make 2 actions in 1 turn, once per short rest. That means even more bending in a single round, or bending and punching. That's a really in-character move. Third level fighters can choose a martial archetype, and if you want a few more spells, might as well go Eldritch Knight. If you think, hey, shouldn't your intelligence be high if you're an Eldritch Knight? Not for these spells. Shield adds 5 to your AC as a reaction, so you can make a little earth wall or a big spirit thing you use later, up to you. Mage armor makes your AC 13 plus your dexterity modifier when you're not wearing armor for 8 hours. It's basically the best light armor you can get. Though you have medium armor proficiency, and that would be a little better. It's just not in character. Jump triples a creature's jump distance for a minute for a little air hop. For your cantrips here, Dancing Lights creates a bunch of floating lights if you want to see in the dark with your bad custom lineage eyes. And True Strike lets you remind your audience that a lot of time has passed between Korra and the original series, so power creep makes sense. You don't watch the Avengers and get mad that there's a helicarrier when in the first Avenger they were in World War II, because it's just, 60 years have gone by, guys. That's why stuff's better now. It also lets you get advantage on your next weapon attack, but just attack twice, that's bad. You also get Weapon Bond, letting you pick a weapon to conjure to yourself as a bonus action. Just bring your quarterstaff. That doubles as a little gliding device. Since we're multi-classing spellcasters, check page 165 of the player's handbook to figure out how many spells you have at any given level. 4th level fighters get an ability score improvement, and being the Avatar is all about balance, so it would be cool to balance your strength and charisma. There's no practical reason though, so just, pick one of them and then pick the other one next time. 5th level fighters get an extra attack, letting you make 2 attacks instead of 1 with your action. So in a single round, you can punch twice, action surge to cast a spell, then quicken a cantrip. If your plans are bad, it helps to get through them quickly. 6th level fighters get an ability score improvement. What did you take last time? Take the other one. We're kind of doing an IKEA 4 elements monk. We're putting elemental stuff and unarmed fighting together without using the monk stats because they don't really make sense for you. 7th level Eldritch Knights get War Magic, letting you cast a cantrip as an action and make an attack as a bonus action, so you don't even need to quicken spells or action surge, helping you get some resources going at the same time. You can also learn 2nd level spells from the wizard list, or I guess the Eldritch Knight list, but we'll go for absorb elements from the 1st level, letting you give yourself resistance to acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage as a reaction, and even send that back with a d6 of that damage on your next attack next round. The main buff is the resistance. Turns out the Avatar has to fight a lot of benders, and that fire, lightning, and thunder is all going to come in handy. Acid probably too, at some point. Now we're going to bounce back to Sorcerer to get some more bending, but the good kind of bending. 5th level Sorcerers get 3rd level spells. Tidal Wave lets you make a 30-foot long, 10-foot wide, and 10-foot high tidal wave, forcing a dexterity saving throw on creatures inside, dealing 4d8 bludgeoning damage and knocking them prone if they fail, half damage and no knocking prone if they succeed. It also puts out fires, but probably make sure that the building is clear. 4d8 is a lot of damage for a commoner to take. You can also grab another cantrip. Ray of Frost is a ranged spell attack that deals 3d8 cold damage and slows the target by 10 feet for a round. It's not actually that much stronger than your other cantrips. Those have been scaling up with your level 2. We're just taking this one at level 12. Remember, cantrips scale with your total level, so getting a cantrip late in the game, not actually that bad of a thing. 6th level Divine Soul Sorcerers get empowered healing, and you have enough healing to justify talking about it. Whenever you or a buddy within 5 feet of you is healed with a spell, you can spend a sorcery point to reroll one of the die. I think it's also the time we start learning some airbending. Flying gives you a flying speed of 60 feet for 10 minutes, depending on your concentration. You need a glider, you're not just Zahir who can Superman after a month of airbending. Would have felt better if they just put some wind wisps under him. I didn't love that he could just Superman fly. 7th level sorcerers can learn 4th level spells. Banishment lets you send spirits back to the spirit world, forcing a charisma saving throw on a creature and sending them back to their plane of origin for a minute depending on your concentration. If you're able to hold concentration for a full minute, they have to stay there and find their own way back. If they're actually from the same plane that you're on while you cast it, they just go to a harmless demi-plane and come back when the spell ends. Whether you're kicking out the bad spirits or just fully kicking someone out of the encounter, this is a very helpful technique. 8th level sorcerers get another ability score improvement. I think charisma should be the first thing to cap off. As fun as martial arts is, Wizards of the Coast just really likes the casters. Casters are almost always better than martial arts, and that kind of makes sense, right? If you can control all the elements of the world, that should be better than punching things. Stone Skin lets you wrap yourself up in rocks, giving you resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage for up to an hour depending on your concentration. Taking less damage should actually probably help you keep your concentration up. 9th level sorcerers can learn 5th level spells like Wall of Stone. This creates 10 by 10 foot panels that are 6 inches thick, or 10 by 20 foot panels that are 3 inches thick. You can shape these panels as you like as long as the first panel comes out of existing stone and each panel is connected to another. Each of them has 15 AC and 30 HP for each inch of thickness, so feel free to use it for defense, use it for a bridge, use it for anything you can think of that you could do with panels of stone. I believe in you. 10th level sorcerers can grab another meta magic option. Careful Spell lets you pick a number of creatures equal to your charisma modifier to automatically succeed on saving throws of the spells you cast. It would be a bit awkward if you washed Bolin away in a tidal wave, or a Gust of Wind from the 2nd level spell, Gust of Wind. That creates a 60-foot line of wind that forces a strength saving throw on creatures inside, pushing them back 15 feet if they fail. Even if they succeed, the area costs twice as much movement to get through. It might seem late to grab this spell, but airbending is the last one you figured out. And you can also grab another cantrip. Thunderclap is either earthbending or airbending, I'm not totally sure which. It forces a constitution saving throw on creatures within 5 feet of you, dealing 4d6 thunder damage to those that fail. It's a decent option if you find yourself surrounded. 11th level sorcerers can learn 6th level spells, and we need to enter the avatar state. Tasha's otherworldly guides will do a pretty decent job of that, giving you immunity to fire and poison damage and the poisoned condition, or immunity to radiant and necrotic damage and the charmed condition. You get a 40-foot flying speed, plus 2 to your AC, and you can use your charisma modifier for your weapon attacks, which unarmed attacks are. So it's okay that we haven't capped off our strength modifier. It lasts for a minute depending on your concentration if you just want to go nuts. 12th level sorcerers get another ability score improvement, letting you cap off your strength modifier. The flying speed, damage immunities, and AC buffs still make Tasha's otherworldly guys worth casting, even though you don't need it to buff your punching. Our capstone is the 13th level of sorcerer for 7th level spells. Plane shift will let you go to the spirit plane with up to 8 of your buddies, or send a creature there immediately with a melee spell attack, followed by a failed charisma save on their end. You can also use it to go to any other plane, but we're here to get to the spirit world. Honestly, since Korra leaves her physical body behind, it's probably closer to astral projection, but there isn't a way to get all of our elemental stuff and not use our intelligence modifier, unless we went 4 elements monk, but that's really bad, right? Well, yes and no. There are things 4 elements monk does better than this IKEA 4 elements monk. First, the AC is better on the monk at 20, while the multi-class monstrosity has 14 with mage armor, 16 with Tasha's otherworldly guys, and up to 21 with a shield spell, though that's a lot of spell slots and it's not always consistent. The defensive buffs don't stop there. Diamond Soul gives AANG proficiency with all saving throws, and Perfect Body lets him resist everything except force damage while being invisible for disadvantage on your enemy's attacks. Finally, AANG would be better at hand-to-hand combat, with unarmed attacks that deal 1d10 instead of 1d8, and you can make 3 attacks every round without spending resources, or 4 if you want to spend a resource. So obviously that means that AANG is better, girls are bad, and you can resubscribe now, right? No, why are you still waiting for me to say that? Haven't you realized that I start every morning with a hefty cup of respect women juice? There are things that Korra can do that the AANG build just straight up can't. First off, healing, and healing is really good. Even if it's just cure wounds, healing is so good. Banishment and plane shift are also exclusive to the Korra list, and are, in my opinion, more useful than astral projection, which is pretty specifically useful. Korra also has way more consistent elemental stuff thanks to cantrips, and AANG has to spend key points on his elemental stuff, and Perfect Body, and Flurry of Blows. 4 Elements Monk just has a lot of resource management. At the end of the day, it's almost like neither of these characters is better than the other, but rather they're different people who do similar things in different ways, but each have their own strengths and weaknesses. Or that any class, subclass, or multi-class has its perks, but what really matters is how you roleplay the character. Weird. So, if you want to lift and get elemental, build Korra. If you want to dodge and martial arts, build AANG. Just make sure that you're using your powers to help the world. Otherwise, things could come back to you like some sort of karmic boomer AANG. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe for more. We make 2 videos every week. Join the Patreon for this sheet and a whole bunch more, and sub to Tulok and Mango for more Tulok fun.